Anybody else has anything to say?
The confusion caused first of all by the word hierarchy that you
Really, no, everyone thinks that differently.
give it all out, it's
Exactly.
necessary, you can't be
Absolutely.
in keeping, you can't, I mean, you have to be in that Bhagavan who used to say spiritual things, you colors, there will be wild.
Yes, she falls.
For me, because with the outward appearance is not to be what you
All my
is what I understand.
I was just walking in.
Yeah, exactly.
The rest is
So, this word, let me just very quickly summarize the whole value, how the whole logic starts, right? So, first he does is Indriyartheshu Vairagyam. So, Vairagyam, he explains the word. And what is Vairagyam? It is coming from Ranj Dhatu, color. Color. And V is removing. So what? Removing your color with reference to what? Indriya Artheshu. Indriya is senses, and these are what the senses capture are the sense objects. So it means sense objects. So anything that you see, then what? Removing your color from the objects. So that means seeing the objects as they are without superimposing your own values on it. Okay? So that's what it means. Normally it is taken as, this Vairagyam is taken as though you have to be detached to the world. You have to give up your liking for things. You have to give up desires. So this is not at all what is being said. What is being said is give up your color that you superimpose on objects. So see the objects for what they are and not what you think they can give you or not give you. Okay? So now the first para of this value begins with why do we have a certain dependency on objects when we live our life? What causes that?
Because we feel that it will give us happiness. That
So-
will be the end of our.
Excellent. So at the starting point of our whole living a life is I am small and nobody likes to be small. So you want to be fulfilled. And the only way that you feel that you can be fulfilled is what? By acquiring different things, because actually you're not interested in acquiring things for their own sake. You're actually interested in what? Freeing yourself, freeing yourself from your sense of smallness, freeing yourself from the sense of inadequacy, lack. This is your real interest. Okay? Now, you acquire this, and that's what goes on. Right? Now, suppose it's not too difficult to figure out that I could have acquired more and more and more and more and more in my life, and I still kind of don't feel totally fulfilled. We are pretty intelligent and we kind of know it, right? Because it's not like I feel totally fulfilled, and we are still hooked onto this. Why?
Marketing.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Marketing, yes. Okay. What else? There is a
How Loda and all put those ads,
can you imagine?
dream home, your life is going to change.
For a lady to
One
understand.
blonde valley and I'm like, it's so crazy.
Better than a metro.
Okay.
For
So,
a lady to understand, classic example is handbags.
what? Tushar, elaborate. What?
Handbags, like
Huh,
you
so
buy these 1 lakh and 2 lakh handbags, and every time you buy it, you want another one. The next one you see.
Yeah, it's an
What is
important
it?
in beauty's
So
value.
you want to have
I like this dance.
Too.
And I said, I'm not going to. I want to see.
Loda's new project is also coming up.
I mean,
It's called what?
I mean, you could
Yeah.
give it a third one.
Okay, see the hook is very interesting. The hook is not Prada bags, but the hook is if these objects did not give you any pleasure, we would not even bother. Exactly. But they do give you
Momentary.
momentary pleasure. That's why we are hooked on. So what we do is we want to recreate this experience of happiness through them all the time. So what you actually see, if they didn't give anything, there would not be a problem at all.
I think no
So that
competition.
means-
I don't know. It's just she
Sorry?
had it, so I must have it. I think
Sorry?
that's just to keep
That's
her.
also giving you
So that is kind of because you define your joy by being like somebody else. It's not, he's not asking you to do it, you define it. Do you understand? You create, just 1 minute, listen, I don't, it is not the chit chat class, okay? Okay. So you define your happiness by what? You define your happiness by, you, see, what Rajiv is saying is, you have to, suppose Tushar has something, right? Now Rajiv feels that my happiness comes from by being like Tushar. Tushar hasn't told him that you have to be like me. Do you understand? So that means we put pressure. Whichever pressure is always coming from us. So you can say, yeah, people are carrying. So suppose Gandhiji didn't have a problem that everybody else is wearing a suit. So how can I wear dhoti? That will make me look bad. He was pretty comfortable in being who he was. But suppose we are there and we have to enter a room with everybody who is suited and booted, and you are wearing a casual thing. It's not others tell us. Maybe others will also look, but
But if you're secure within the
exactly. So that means, please don't think that society is putting pressure on you. You put pressure on yourself. Do you understand? So this is something that you absolutely need to understand that. But otherwise you always blame somebody else, something else for being who you are. But that's not, you have to learn to live on your terms, based on your understanding. Okay, so now the whole scenario is you start, the starting point is small and then you rely on one thing or the other over your lifetime to remove your smallness. So what you're really interested in is what? Freeing yourself from this sense of lack and inadequacy. Now, you get hooked because these things are not totally not contributing to your wellness. They do contribute to your wellness. Why? Because at times when you get them, you do feel happy and satisfied. Okay? But it is, as Namrata said, it's momentary. So now in this value, he explains why it is momentary. Right? Because we keep saying it's momentary, but why it is so. So last time we saw that this little happiness that you catch is an outcome of three things coming together. What are the three things which are coming together?
yourself, the object, and the feeling.
Okay, great. So that means three things come together to give you this momentary pleasure. One is you need to, suppose you wanted that object, now that object is with you, right? The second thing is that object you still have value for it. It hasn't changed. And the third thing is what? You have the right frame of mind. All these three align for a while and that produces what? That happiness that you feel. Now, what he's saying is, through this, it's impossible. You want to recreate this again and again and again to what? Create happiness for you. It's impossible. Why is it impossible?
Because one of these three may not be there.
All three are changing all the time. Do you understand? You have one object with you, there is no guarantee that you will have it with you tomorrow. So the objects themselves are changing, right? So you see over a period of time, what that in South Bombay there are many families, they have seen the peak of their wealth and everything, over a period of time, there is a tipping point. So that means all the objects, all the wealth that you had accumulated, thinking that you are, somebody told me, and that's just by the way, she read a book about this Anand Mahindra's son-in-law's grandfather. There is a book which is published, and how he was so successful, and all of a sudden his wife kind of poisoned him. I mean, it's some crazy story, and there's a book about it. Now then, this guy who was murdered is reincarnated, and he's recounting the whole thing of what happened to him in detail.
But he's Mexican.
Who?
Anand's son-in-law.
No. This is Radhika's husband's grandfather. So there's a book. So anyway, so somebody was just telling. So what we say is, you have all the objects, but it seems as though I have it for generations, but you never know when the decline starts. So this is why, in spite of having a lot, we never feel that it is enough. Why? Because there is always this insecurity about what will
Things will
future
change.
bring. Do you understand?
Things will become negative in the future.
Absolutely. So that means objects change, your own preferences change. What was really important to you in the past is no longer very important to you. Now something else is important to you. So that means even your value for different objects. So you still have the same thing that you had, but now you have no value for it. So even that keeps changing. And suppose you have objects and you have value for it, but your frame of mind changes. So suppose you, last time Anupa said, so suppose you can have object, please don't think it's only objects. It can also represent people or people, right? Objects don't mean only objects, it means also people. Okay? So now, the right frame of mind is, suppose you are with your husband and you still like him. So the person is there, your like is there. But suppose your daughter is studying in Boston and you receive a news that there is a snowstorm. What will happen? You have your husband, you also still like him, but what happens? The happiness still doesn't come because your frame of mind has changed, because something else has happened. Do you understand? So that means to hold all these three changing variables constant is impossible. So we keep repeating, oh, everything is momentary, but we don't understand what is the meaning of that. Why it is momentary. Do you understand? So this is what we call analysis. Analysis means you don't stay at superficial level, you look into things and you begin to see the nature of reality, right? So this is how he shows that in all of these, what happens is everything is changing. So to get a sync at any given point in time is really hard. And if you get that sync, to maintain it is really hard. Do you understand?
Which would suggest that it's about that moment in that.
So what we try to do is recreate
Enjoy the
this moment.
Enjoy this moment, but you may not be able to
Can't
recreate it.
expect
So
Our
enjoy it
whole
now.
life is about recreating these moments which we have felt, where we felt what? Happy, fulfilled, for the time being the sense of lack was gone. So we constantly recreate through these, and all three are changing. So this is why what it becomes, but the chase never goes, because it does bring happiness. So we have tasted it, and what we want to do is what? Perpetuate it. Do you understand? So this is what you need to understand. So now, this way it is impossible. Okay? Now, so the only possibility, Indriyatha Shubhayagya, now suppose somebody tells you this way it's impossible, the mistake people make is, this way is impossible, so all this is totally useless. This is the mistake. Do you understand? This is the huge problem. That's why they say this is an illusion, because you chase the mirage water, so don't go for it. But Indriyateshu Vairagyam is not going for it, it is what? Understanding its place. Exactly. So what money can do for me and what it cannot do for me. It's not this cannot, this object. So object could be money, object could be power, object could be any person. So it's true. Through this person or through money or through power, you are trying to fill your lack. It's impossible. But that doesn't mean that they are useless. Do you understand? This is when people make a mistake. They do have their place in the grand scheme of things. But what you are doing is you are removing your color.
You're giving it a value which is not
Right perspective.
So that means
Correct,
you are giving it its right value, neither more nor less. What we end up doing is either we think money is everything, and then we go to the other extreme. Money is all material, it's not going to give you happiness. So we move from one extreme to the other, but we always miss the reality. What is the reality? The real value for money, what it can do for you and what it cannot do for you. So money can give you things. You can't say it's material and all that. What can it, what does he show here? What can it do for you? He shows
it can give you a house but not happiness.
excellent, right? So it can buy you house, it can give you education, it can give you some resources, right? I mean, all this it does. You can't take out this value, right? But suppose you start thinking that it will lead to my happiness and my sense of worth comes from it, then that is an added color. So Vairagya is to remove that added color. When you remove this added color, what happens is, actually, as Namu was saying last time, you are much more free exactly to engage, because your whole well-being doesn't depend upon your definition of yourself, doesn't depend upon it. You have a much healthier relationship with it. In fact, it's not about staying away, but it's actually freeing yourself from the hold of all the different objects of the world. So this is why what he says is, it's not that the objects hold you or the people hold you, or you hold on to them because of the extra value that you place on them. So Vairagya doesn't mean that you have to stay away from everything and to be detached to everything. It means the minute you take away that extra value, you are free to deal with it. So you can be in midst of things, but nothing holds you. If at one point in time you find yourself like that, you are free. And this is exactly how Lord Krishna was shown. Lord Krishna was in midst of things. It's not like he had to stay away from things. He was a king and he had many decisions to make, and he did many things. But he himself, with reference to himself, he was not stressed. He was playing flute, he was playful, he was enthusiastic. All crazy things happened to him. But at the same time, he was free. Why? Not because he was indifferent to things. He was very lucid. But at the same time, he gave everything its right place. Okay? Now, my question is, suppose you come to this point. This is not mentioned here, but I'm going to ask you this question. So that means now you know that none of these objects or people can actually take away this sense of lack or inadequacy or smallness. They are not capable of, even though they can give you things. But still, your main interest is what? To free yourself from sense of inadequacy. So before, at least you thought that these things can do the job. Now you figured out they
This
can't
also cannot do.
They cannot do the job.
जीने का फायदा क्या?
Exactly. Do you understand? You can lead to what it can lead to what we call nihilism. Nihilism is what? What's the point of all this? I'm chasing it all, and it's not going to give me what I'm really searching for. At least when you're a little deluded, at least you're motivated, and you through them at least you try. Do you understand? So that means life cannot end not solving this problem. Do you understand? Otherwise it will lead to detachment. This is what lack of self, any kind of lack. You know, you superimpose lack and
Or inadequacy.
Are you getting what I'm saying? Because through these objects, what you are really interested in is
Getting rid of
This.
smallness and a feeling of inadequacy.
But how to make yourself full that nobody is questioning that. That's why you have the problem and you are going to the other extreme.
Do you understand? So what you need to understand is, so before you thought these things can fill this, which they don't, but suppose now I show you that they cannot, but you are still stuck with the void, right? Then the teaching is not complete until it tells you how to fill this void. Otherwise you become a nihilist. Do you understand? Nihilist means somebody who is not interested in life. So I want to show you one thing that I did. I was invited at Rotary Club at Taj to give a talk. So what you need to understand is how, because this is related to this.
That's a very interesting point, because you then wonder, like, okay, so I'm not going to get much out of this, then why am I bothering?
This is the stage that many people reach, but this Vedanta is not supposed to be. Why? Because it does give you an answer to this problem of
How to solve
smallness
the smallness.
by showing that you are not this small individual, but you are the whole. Do you understand? So it completes the whole picture.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's incomplete. Do you understand? It leads to nihilism.
No, and people really take advantage of this, and they say, oh, we don't have to bother with anything, this is the universe, is whatever.
Exactly.
But
So this is why.
But how do you answer the question of, like, why should you engage with things that are not going to
Yeah, because they do have their own value, right? I mean, right now you do find yourself as, you do need a house, you do need to be comfortable, right? You can't totally negate it. So that means it does have its own value. You can't say this is not going to fulfill me, so therefore I drop it, because it does have a certain value for which also you have a value. Do you understand? But through this, if you are looking for this, that's not going to happen.
What Nima's wiped out was the most important thing, those 3 points. Can you put it back so she can just write it? She needs to take a picture.
Hey.
That's there in the book, Disha, in the chat.
No, I mean, yeah, he's saying it, but I get I kind of, yeah. See, the thing is, he says everything, but when we read, we don't catch it. Do you understand? So we read fast enough, mental, so we say, yeah, I get it, but we don't stay with it and think about it. And therefore, it gives a semblance of knowing, but it always remains. This is why anything that you want to know in depth, it requires certain time and certain analysis. Only then you understand it properly. Otherwise, it gives a semblance of knowing, yeah, I get it, but it's not complete. It's not deep enough. So this is why I spend time with things. And you need to see it that this time is not just kind of repeating, it is making your knowledge of things deeper, right? Okay, now I want to show one presentation which I did, because among spiritual people, nihilism is one of the biggest problems. Nihilism is these things that everybody else is chasing for, they are not giving me what I am really searching for, so what's the point? So this is not called spirituality. This is this in-between limbo, which then needs to address. It needs to be addressed. Okay. So there is one interesting framework that we all live in this world with a certain orientation. What is this orientation? There is one group of people who are called practitioners. Please don't think that all these are bad. So we will make it far more nuanced. The others are what we call hedonist. The third are nihilist. And here in the fourth quadrant comes Vedanta.
Realist.
Not realist. These could go into realist. I mean, nihilist sometimes, I'll tell you, because there is this whole French philosophy which is what we call existentialism, which comes from a little bit of what they call realist and nihil. They actually tantamount to nihilist. And it actually it's very depressing to read this philosopher. They are this Jean-Paul Sartre and all, they are great philosophers, but they are actually nihilist. So I will talk about it a little bit. Okay. So what is this rat racer orientation? What do you think is a rat racer?
Just being on the treadmill and sort of like constantly trying to move ahead.
Wonderful.
But
So that means there is a rat racer orientation, which is what I always want to move ahead in life. So that means what happens? You by the time
Position oriented.
so you want to go get into the exactly best school has happened, so now you want a best job, then best job has happened, now you want promotion. Do you understand? So one thing, then you want the best whatever partner, then you want kids who are highly successful. So what it means is you keep having more and more and more, and you get now. This is one orientation. The other is what we call hedonist. What is that? Who's ahead?
a pleasure seeker.
Pleasure seeker.
Exactly. A pleasure seeker. Somebody who's not necessarily interested in, but what? How can I make my life most pleasurable now? So what is a typical hedonist? What?
Vacations,
Bags.
good food, spa.
Exactly.
Wine.
Good food, spa, wine, best of the wine, go to the best restaurant, right? Best of the bags, Gucci, Prada, whatever, Lancel, whatever. Okay. So this is what we call a typical hedonist. Okay. Now, as I told you, so that means you're constantly either chasing or you're interested in just pleasure. Okay. Now, at one point, as I told you, this vairagyam is what you recognize that this is not going to give you what you are searching for, and even all the pleasures are not going to give you what you are searching for. What happens is you become a nihilist. Who is a nihilist? Who says, what's the point? Do you understand? So this world is anyway, it's not giving me what I'm searching for. No matter I become a CEO or I become a managing director or I become some millionaire or a billionaire in a Fortune 100 list, it won't give me this happiness that I'm seeking. And all the pleasures I have tried, but anyway, it is still leaving a void. So what happens is you become a nihilist. And that nihilism is very often connected to what we call spirituality. It is, please understand, this is a very important thing. This is mistaken to be spirituality.
Nihil is actually the Western concept.
Yes.
We are talking about this in India,
Yeah.
that people are spiritual and don't give weight to the material. But the nihilists are those who are anti-religion and anti-moral principles. So where do we Indians fall? We think we are spiritual and therefore don't go after the material.
Okay, let me tell you, a lot of spiritual talks that you hear in India, they come, how do they present the world? That this world is not going to give you
Happy.
happiness.
So the Buddhist type of
Very, very common presentation.
Very common.
Very common presentation. Actually, it is very different from Vedanta. So you need to understand the differences, because otherwise 90% of spirituality in India is nihilist. So that means this world is what, so that's why then they say you have to go to some spiritual world. There are no two worlds, material and spiritual. This world itself, when you understand it properly, you're free from all the limitations and from all the loads that you carry within yourself. So our attempt is not to move away from material world and to go to some other world called spiritual world. Our attempt is to master this world. This very world, which because of our partial understanding produces suffering for us. And what we want to do is understand it accurately so that we are free from these loads and we can live with a much bigger vision. So that is our intent. Okay? So it's not nihilist. You understand? So this is what we call things are point. These things are pointless. And this Indriyartheshu Vairagyam is a little bit presented like that. Do you understand? It's little bit presented like that. All these objects are not going to give you pleasure, so therefore, right, be away from them. Now, what is a real? Is Vedanta like that?
Not at all.
Not at all. Please don't mistake Vedanta, and many people present Vedanta like that, but it's not, right? So what is Vedanta about? As little bit what Vaman was talking about. What is Vedanta about? It's not about seeing. So these things create a problem for you, please understand, because you give, they themselves are not bad. They create, exactly. So therefore, how do you live in this world? Not by staying away from it, but giving them
Right, that's it.
the right value. Do you understand? By putting this right value itself will take away a lot of load from you. Then what Vedanta says is, suppose you put a right value, there is one more thing that you need to consider when you go for these things. And what is that? Dharma. You understand? So the minute you have put right value to things, your tendency to bypass dharma will reduce. You understand? So that means this is all interconnected. So what we are trying to do is not to go to some other world. What we are trying to do is what? Live in this world, but improve our engagement
You will not
with this
be
world.
tempted to take shortcuts.
Excellent, right? Because now you have put right value to it. It's not something that you have given a huge value. So your temptation for transgressing the value in order to get it is naturally less. So this is what we call, first we gave right value to the object. The second thing is what? Dharma becomes important for us as a result. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to ask this question. What is actually the translation of Vedanta? Veda and Vedanta.
So Veda Anta, what appears at the end of the Vedas. Yeah. But what appears at the end of the Veda is this whole inquiry about who you are, what is the nature of the universe, how do you live in this world. So these are the questions that Vedanta answers. Okay, so Dharma. What about, let's say Gita, because Vedanta and Gita Gita is one part of this. Okay, so right value, Dharma. What else? You still haven't addressed.
The smallness which you felt, it answers that question, which is,
Super.
it addresses that question.
Super. Because these two in themselves, suppose you give the right value and you follow dharma, in itself will not solve the problem of
The initial problem
smallness.
which we
The
started
initial problem that you started with, which is your feeling small. Do you understand? So what Vedanta does is, it addresses that. What does it show? That you are not this, your starting point of transacting with the world is that I am small and I seek things. It addresses this smallness by showing that you are not this small individual. You are what? Satchit Ananda. Do you understand?
I think Krishna in the Gita says that the goal for Vedanta was to dispel the vision that I'm the body, I'm small.
Exactly. So this is exactly. So it also
Spirit
addresses
is
that.
different from
Absolutely. So that means this is the main purpose. Vedanta shows that actually you're not, because all the problems that you have here, they stem from this smallness,
Feeling inadequate.
right? So this is where this small is, unless, and you have no way to remove this smallness with your own thinking. So what Vedanta does is, that smallness removal is something which is, please don't think that is some illusionary thing, right? That suppose you are small and you are made to think that you are big. It's not kind of positive thinking or anything. It is like a wave understanding, who is otherwise invested in its identity as wave, understanding that essentially I am water. Water. Do you understand? Because if you take the wave, before the wave comes, what is there? Water. While the wave is there, what is there? Only water. If you take away water, there is no such thing called wave. After the wave goes, what? Water. So that means, so this is the reality. It is what we call paradigm shift. We are not doing anything to make wave into big. Please don't think that we are trying to expand this wave into something very big. That's not what Vedanta does. It shows what the essential reality of wave, which is water. Suppose you have moved from your essential reality from being a wave to water. At that second, what problems have you solved?
Solve the problem of being small. Being
Exactly.
identified
Because where is
with
water?
all over, the entire ocean, water is
Do
everywhere.
you understand? That second, what happens is, from small you become what? The water is all pervasive. In the entire ocean, what? The water is everywhere. Do you understand? That second you have moved from smallness to being all pervasive. We are not producing anything new. Please understand. It's not like the wave is trying to be big. That's not what Vedanta is. There is an essential reality of wave which we constantly miss because we are so committed to the form, and we give reality to the form, and in return what happens is we forget the content. And that content is much bigger than what we can ever imagine. You have freed yourself from mortality. Why? Because the wave has a date of birth and the wave will die. But the water, is it born and is it dying? No. So you have crossed mortality. That second, a wave feels that I am only a small entity and everything else is external to me. So the wave feels isolated. That minute, the minute that the wave understands that I am water, the connection to the whole, all the other waves comes naturally. This is not a connection which is born out of, oh, I want to feel connected. It's nothing from feeling. It's about facts, being alive to realities. Do you understand? The whole Vedanta, what we do is we keep creating our own images of what Vedanta is saying. You want to feel connected. Hey, you are connected. Does the wave has to feel that I'm connected? Hey, if the wave understands I'm water and everything else is water, does the wave have to make this attempt to be connected? Does it? No. Why? Because it's a reality. Every other wave is water. I am connected whether I like it or not. Do you understand? So this isolation turns into your connection.
Can you give some other example?
Sorry?
Water and wave. Can you give some other example?
I can give other example of an individual, right? So the minute you understand that you are not this individual, so this is exactly what Bhavan was talking about. Our individuality is what?
And this form.
I'm only exactly this form, which is the body, which is the mind. When you begin to understand that there is that it's not that I don't have body and mind. Just like it's not that the wave doesn't have a form, right? We are not trying to negate the existence of form, but what we are trying to do is find an essential reality, which is the very content of that form, right?
So we're just cells.
So, okay.
And we
so,
don't need Prada bags. Because you don't want to sell with a Prada bag.
Okay, so one way of looking at it, it's interesting. So now I read an article, it's very interesting what Chirag is saying, very good. see, there are these philosophers who are quite brilliant. So, but he was writing an article on quantum physics.
But moving to that space will not resist you from achieving whatever is there, but then you know whatever you achieved is not meaningless.
What
Is that so?
But Nima, I have a question.
Okay, wait, now we have to do one after the other, otherwise it will get all confused. So any reality means you need to hold the whole picture. Otherwise what happens, we go from one thing to the other and everything becomes all crazy. Okay? Now, yeah, tell me, what is it? You tell me your questions and I'll address all these questions. So Nirmala, what is your question?
That once you realize
Yes.
your way,
Yes,
but still way will keep doing its.
absolutely. So that means
You
I will,
cannot stop.
yes, wonderful. Okay.
Complete away.
I will
Because it's a way.
conclude with that. You remind me if I don't conclude with that. I will conclude with that. You have a
So
question?
my question is that while intellectually you can understand that that you're all part of oneness, how do you stop yourself from like you do things? Some people are better than others. Some people are smarter than others. Some people, you know, and you have a sort of a hierarchy of like you can't help it. Like it's just the
Superb.
way.
It is hierarchy, and at that level, it is a reality. So you can't totally negate it either. So that's why what we say is Vedanta is giving right place to everything. If you're only looking at the world from one standpoint and you forget everything else, that is what is calling to fusion. Okay? So let me explain. Let me go on with wave, and then because all these ideas are easier to explain with, then I will come to quantum physics, and I will come to this whole thing that how does wave relate to our individuality. That also needs to be addressed.
Now,
Okay?
one last question, based on what you said about Hinduism and Vedanta. So just to understand in that context, is Vedanta pantheism?
Pantheism is what? It's like many things. What is pantheism?
Pantheism is that when you see reality as the divine, and that divinity is in everything, so
Okay.
therefore is Vedanta
Okay.
pantheism.
Okay, so that particular point that you are saying technically is slightly different. That is, in our Indian philosophical terms, we call it Vishishtadvaita.
Sorry?
Vishishtadvaita, where what I'm showing is slightly different from that. Slightly different. It goes one step further. But that is also a very interesting question, right? So we have all these people looking into reality, they have different contentions. And the contention that you're talking about technically means Vishishtadvaita. But forget it for now. I will hopefully address all of your questions. So let's first take this thing of wave understanding that it is essentially water. Unfortunately, again Advaita is understood wrongly, because now you want to totally give up your waveness and you only want to act as though there is water. This is another, it will make you crazy. Why? Because if everything is water and you don't even account for your waveness, then how can you live in this world? Do you understand? So what we are trying to do is not to negate this waveness. What we are trying to see is there is a wave. It's not an illusion. It is what we call an apparent reality. And this is the final reality. So what is the added value for knowing this final reality? What does it do for you? Right? Because suppose this is your final reality, you do become small. Do you understand? You cannot do anything about it. No matter how much you inflate that wave, it is going to remain what? Small as compared to everything else. This becomes the orientation with which you live your life. Do you understand? If this is the final reality, then you do seek other things, because you can't stand
Being small.
being small. Do you understand? Then when things don't come as you want them, you are going to be frustrated. Don't pretend that, oh, it doesn't matter. Nobody is like that. Okay? So that means there is a frustration. there is anxiety, there is some insecurity. This is a natural outcome, you can't avoid it. If your vision of reality ends here, this you cannot avoid. Do you understand? This is very, very important. Don't ask why should a wave know water, because anyway the form is there. Anyway the form is there, but your vision of who you are makes all the difference in how you live your life. Do you understand? So that means with this wave, if this wave stops here, this is unavoidable. And we are constantly trying to get ourselves out of this. And we keep searching for solutions within this paradigm. And we never get anywhere. So this is why Lord Krishna shows us the other paradigm. What is the other paradigm? Essentially, I am water. And that is not an imaginary paradigm. It is paradigm which is based on reality. Do you understand? This is the truth. It's not like you're made to believe something. Right? Suppose you understand this paradigm and still you're a wave. Please understand. You will still function in this as a wave, but your vision of reality has undergone a very fundamental change. Do you understand? So this is what we call enlightened wave. Suppose. What is the vision of this? It still remains a wave. Please
Because
don't.
you know you're a wave only now.
Super.
You were a current before that, ripples or whatever, and then you move to a tsunami, and then you eventually, whatever it is, it's
Wonderful. So that means essentially I am water. Essentially I am water, which is everywhere. Do you understand? Essentially I am connected to everything else. Right now I am in this form. But because I am connected to everything else, this form doesn't create smallness for me. Do you understand? Then the focus changes from, with this form, how can I live in the most meaningful way? Do you understand? Because now my identity has undergone a very fundamental change. So it's not like now that I'm trying to negate the waveness, but this very wave, which was the cause for my feeling small, is now become my privilege to express myself.
So you become a part of the whole.
So that means now when I act, I see that my actions have repercussions on I'm connected to every other wave, because there is one system called ocean which connects us all, and it brings us together and our interactions through series of laws which include dharma. You understand? So now you continue to interact, but not from the smallness, but from the sense of your responsibility, your connection, and your wanting to contribute to this whole grand scheme of things. You understand? The very terms of your interaction with the universe will change. It's not about negating being wave, but it is about understanding something more about my identity without negating the waveness. Do you understand? Do you see the difference between this interaction? I'm small, I need other things to remove that smallness, and when I cannot do that, I'm frustrated, I'm anxious, I'm insecure. To this, I'm essentially water. I'm connected to everything. Right now, I am manifesting as one wave, and that wave is connected to every other wave, and the nature of my actions is going to impact everything. So I deal with what? I act with responsibility. I act with understanding the how my actions are going to affect everybody else, and then since I receive so much from this whole system, I have to be not a grabber, but I have to be a contributor. Don't tell me that this and this is the same, because where anyway remains the same. Is it the same? It is completely different. Please understand this. Vedanta is intricate. We give so many false meanings to this whole amazing teaching, and we are lost in our web of thinking. Do you understand? The mistake people make is they think that the minute you discover that you're water, you almost have to pretend as though the wave is not there. And that creates confusion, because you have this form. It's not like you don't have it. Suppose you have this form and you pretend that I don't have this form, you'll become crazy.
You have to live your life.
You have to.
Mind, you
So
have to apply.
what will happen is, this is what we call Dr. Jekyll and Hyde problem. You will convince yourself, I'm water, everything is water, everything is like that. Then when your son has to go to school, you want him to go to the best school. Do you understand? On one hand, you keep repeating. This is what we call a spiritual split, which is delusionary. We are not talking about pretending or convincing ourselves. We are talking about seeing realities and living effectively. So therefore, this is why you have to pay attention what I am talking about, right? So it's not like, okay, I'm not just repeating things again and again. So these are things which require attention, right? And little reflection. So this is what, this is something that you need to understand, that is about living. You still live as a wave, but the vision has undergone a change, and because of that change of vision, what? Everything changes. It's not a technical something, right? It is everything about your life changes. Okay? Now, your question about quantum physics. Who asked? Chidar.
I wasn't actually focusing on quantum physics, but
No.
it went there.
Yeah, okay, it went there. So wonderful. So this is something, let me take it at different levels. There was an article in a magazine where he was talking about, the Surya keeps giving me all this very high level. Half the time I don't understand everything, but I get some concept of what he's trying to say. So they are too difficult at times. But what he was saying is, every discovery that we have made in this world has changed our life in some ways, right? So what is the role of pure research? To look into the universe and see what it is, and what is the role of applied research?
See how
To
we can
incorporate
improve.
what you have discovered into some application, right? So you make the whole IT, everything is as a result of pure research, binary, and that can be used to what? Create a revolution in this world, okay? So what he was saying is, every discovery has led to some, but quantum physics discovery has not yet changed our life. We continue to live in this, so what? We live in this world as though it is totally real. Every object that I see is absolutely real, right? What has quantum physics shown us? Now, why it came to me is because you're saying everybody is ultimately cells. That's how it's came to me. So therefore, what we say is,
We are waves and we are particles.
so mostly it is space. In this space, mostly there are what? Tiny atoms and particles. So this is actually, can you deny this reality? But when we live in this world, do we at all even partially incorporate this reality? No. We are totally oblivious to this reality. We take everything as
Real.
tangible and absolutely real, and we get totally connected to it. Do you understand? So that means reality is one thing, my vision of reality is something else, and the way the world is created, what happens? That if you are not living from reality, it will cause suffering. Otherwise, you can say, why should I know reality? What difference does it make in my life? Actually, the world is created in a way that the more and more your mind is aligned to the realities, more and more your loads will go. And you can enjoy life more. Do you understand? It's not about keeping you away from life, but it is actually, therefore, what we now need to do is, what is the implication? Can you live only from this vision? No. Like, what will you do? You have to make, suppose, a choice that, okay, should I expand my business or should I not expand my business? Can you bring this reality?
You adopt that movie approach, that you're in the movie.
So what it means is, you need to hold two realities. Do you understand? Then it gives you complete vision of reality. What we try to do is, either live as everything as real, or we want to see everything as only mostly space. Both are what we call, they don't give us enough wisdom to live in this world effectively. Do you understand? Who is a real wise person? Who holds
A balance.
both, not a
He
balance.
lives his life, but he has that in his view that, okay,
So that means
The two
that-
birds on the branch.
So that means everything is incorporated. So that is what we call lives with the full vision of reality. It recognizes where there are no essential difference and where there are differences. Both the person holds. I'll give you a simple example. Yeah. So let me tell you. So I'll just a simple example. Right now, this is most very clearly that what everything is mostly space and atoms and particles. Suppose his anniversary comes, and then he understands the iron is also atoms and particles, and diamond is also, and it's true. But suppose in place he says everything is the same, and he gives an iron ring to his wife. What will happen?
Then you have
Still
still
all,
one reality.
all the women are laughing. Do
they
you
will
understand?
understand. They all Vedanti. They understand Vedanta. So they will
Do
appreciate.
you understand? No. The thing is, so that means to
Why do you think
live
they come with a wife?
effectively in this world, you need to hold both realities. You understand? A scientist is not confused. Here he is not confused. His vision of reality is much more, because he does understand that iron and diamond is ultimately space and atoms and particles. But he doesn't, in this knowledge, he doesn't forget about the differences between iron and diamond at another level, which is objects. When you hold both realities, that's when you hold the whole vision of reality. Until then, we always hold to the partial vision. And partial vision, whether it is this or this, doesn't give us the knowledge of how to know this final reality and at the same time operate in the world. You understand? When you know both, then you have mastered life. You have mastered life because there is no dark corner in your mind. There is no confusion. There is no mix-up. Everything is totally clear. Where there are differences, you see differences. When there are no differences, you see no differences. Do you understand? And otherwise, what we try to do is move from this reality to this reality. Then we don't know how to reconcile this because you still have to live here. So this is why, suppose you are taught Atma. Now, let me come back to this.
Our example is also relevant. An actor on a stage is a similar.
Yeah, so so okay, as Tushar is saying, that actor on the stage is an interesting example which my teacher gives a lot. He says that suppose you are an actor, right, and you are playing a role of a beggar. Okay, now you are playing the role of a beggar. What makes the difference between your suffering?
You enjoy, you play better because you know you're not actually a beggar.
Superb. Right? Suppose you start really taking yourself as a beggar, what will happen?
Yeah.
You're totally unhappy. But because you know that essentially you're not the beggar, that gives the freedom. That gives the freedom because you do understand that right now I do need to play the role of a beggar, but you think, actually I'm not. What will happen is, when that understanding will not make you indifferent to the role.
You play better.
You will play it better, you will play it so well, and you will make others cry. Do you understand? And what gives you the freedom is the knowledge. The knowledge that essentially I am not the beggar. Right? And it's not about, suppose that person who knows essentially I'm not the beggar is indifferent to this role of being a beggar. What will happen? Nobody will see, nobody will see. You understand? It's not about being indifferent to what you have to do here. In fact, when you know the total picture, that itself gives you freedom. So, and knowing the total picture doesn't mean that you negate this role, these roles. That roles, in fact, you can play much better because you don't play them out of need, out of smallness. You play them as the expression of your fullness.
Does that answer your question?
No, because I still don't know how to deal with at a day-to-day, on a day-to-day level, with people where you want to say that you don't want to look down on somebody or whatever, but you do feel that feeling of like, oh, this person, you want to get to know this person rather than this person. You know what I mean? Like
that doesn't pose a problem, Nalita. See, this is what I say. Everything is one doesn't mean you have to be equal to everything. That doesn't mean at all, right? So when you see Lord Krishna, say, let's look at some practical examples. We have to understand what it means, because otherwise we are constantly confused, right? So if this vision of oneness is not clearly understood, what it creates some kind of we put pressure on ourselves. We have to be universally loving everyone. We have to see everyone as equal. This is what we create this mental picture. And then we say, I'm not able to live like that. Do you understand? Because nobody is able to. You can't be the same with reference to your daughter and some street girl that you are seeing for the first time. It's not possible. Do you understand? So this is where we have to see what this vision of oneness, what it means, right? Now, Lord Krishna, was he saying to Duryodhana and Arjuna? No, not at all. Do you understand? It's not like he was saying, he definitely preferred Arjuna to Duryodhana. Do you understand? Even between Pandavas, he liked Arjuna. Do you understand? Even
also there was a
exactly. Do you understand? It's not like good and bad. Even within good, there is a difference. You can't be the same. At the same time, what is your attitude towards people that you may not like? So there is a story in Mahabharata. In fact, many times when Lord Krishna went to negotiate with Duryodhana, right, for avoiding the war, he did not mince his words. He didn't say that, oh, let's all be brothers, we are all one. He didn't use any of that. He tells him without any qualms. He says, you have been highly unfair to your brothers. You have done, repeatedly things to undermine them. You even tried to kill them in Lakshagraha. You send them to the forest through a game of dice, which was a fraud. You try to disrobe their wife. You send them for 12 years and 13th year Agnatavasa was over and you're insisting that it was not over. And now you want to wage a war. But please understand. So he tells everything exactly as it is. Do you understand? It's not trying to be loving and nice and things like that. You have to say what you have to say. But, and then what he negotiates, he says, I see mass destruction and I don't want to have that. So he negotiates and he asks him to settle for one house with 5 roofs. And Duryodhana says, no. So therefore, the war is declared. Now, when the war is declared, both sides what come to Lord Krishna for help. Does Lord Krishna say, Duryodhana, you're so bad, I'm not going to help you? No. This is what we call the overall vision. Do you understand? It's not like you're safe, but when he comes, he doesn't say, I won't help you. He says, what? Okay, both of you have approached me.
Choose.
And you choose. Do you understand? So that means no holding grudges, no revenge. It's what? Certain clarity.
You choose what?
So you choose the game.
My heart,
of
my
either
army or me.
non-fighting Krishna, non-fighting Krishna or the entire army with all the weapons and everything. So he gives a choice. So this is what we call a person who is not same towards everyone, but the person also has no, he doesn't condemn everyone and is not highly judgmental. You understand? States the fact, is committed to the truth, committed to differences. We are not trying to see everyone as one.
He's removed the color.
Superb. He's removed the color. Superb.
Yeah.
Tag, there's this line. What do you call it? The punchline. The punchline. Absolutely. Remove the color. This is amazing. This is intricate. This Vedanta and this is not ordinary. It requires a lot of subtlety to understand the totality of what is being said. Punchline. Remove the color. He's removed the color. He's totally lucid. Now, what is the time? Way past. Stop. Next time you remind me, when I was in Germany, somebody asked me this question, right? So this is now you think about it and you answer this question and then I'll answer the question. Somebody asked me that if Lord Krishna knew that Duryodhana is so unfair, why did he offer the help?
Yeah, I was also going to say that.
Because he's giving
he should have
everyone a
said,
chance
"Boss."
in life and every moment is different.
Super. We will analyze it a little bit differently. Otherwise, what will happen is the person who's condemned is condemned forever. And the person who's good
It
will
deserves to be condemned. What is it?
No. So everybody is changing. The change is only possible if everybody at every moment is given a chance.
Like how we condemn people, no?
Exactly.
This person
You
is the
understand?
same person.
But I will explain to it. There's a far more nuance. I will explain to it. I will explain it.
But this divided his army and said, I'm going on a holiday, you guys figure this out.
No, but even through these choices, he is trying to figure out what is important to
Everyone.
whom.
How did he get stuck in this?
Sorry?
How did he get
He's a
stuck?
king over there.
He was a king.
These guys approached all the different kings. इधर का राजा उधर का राजा तू मेरे साथ आ जा तू मेरे साथ
So they were
But
all
his kingdom wasn't at stake.
Sorry?
No,
His
his
kingdom
kingdom.
was
So
not
he was just like Bangladesh.
Yeah, indifferent with reference to India, Pakistan.
He
No.
basically got stuck.
He got stuck? No. Because different kings, so each one of them tried to get help from different kings to join their army. So they both came to him to join their side. So he helps both.
At that time, this is what the kings used to do. Time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is the color?
Uh,
Remove the color, no more makeup.
make sure you don't get any iron rings.
Arjuna had a choice of either take Krishna or
I'll get iron.
because or the Golas.